Hello. Okay. Yeah, the thing that is different for me is being someone that works in AI and was a data scientist before and knows the business of consulting very well. Things look a little different for us, and I'm very big, and I tell everyone on the team regularly that we're very big on eating our own dog food. So we do use Gen AI and agentic AI and these tools internally to accelerate the processes that we do and the types of work that we do. And I would encourage other entrepreneurs to do the same. Um, and you need to think about where the gaps are and where you spend the most time. We do this internally. Obviously, we write code. We're technical, so we're doing things like using Claude Code and GitHub Copilot and agentic coding support. But another one is something like a teammate of mine realized, oh, we spend a very large amount of time just reading these documents. And then it turns out, in a proposal somewhere, there's one little detail that, is what's really important or even excludes you from participating, right? And this is a task now that Gen AI can do. You can just use a RAG and then just interrogate the document and just very quickly say, hey, is it worth my while to skim through these 300 pages, or should I just, forget it, right? And I also have, agents that I use for things like market research. One I use quite frequently all the time is my SWOT agent. I meet a new potential client or company and I say, hey, I want to know who the president is, when this company was incorporated, what their annual revenue is, how many employees they have. And now I can just do that on my phone and ask a simple question. And within 30 seconds, I have that information or an estimate of it if it's available on the web, and then kind of a SWOT analysis to give me the background I need. This sort of thing, was harder to do in the past. Yeah, well, I mean, Praktikai, it's not Praktikai, is actually a Greek word that means practicality. And we see ourselves as being kind of an antidote to a lot of the hype and confusion that is happening out there right now around Gen AI. Um, and in my opinion, at least, a lot of this complexity is unnecessary, and there needs to be people out there to guide folks, business leaders that don't know about AI or even about analytics or machine learning, and help them realize that this is something tractable and attainable that they can do. When it came to in the past why I decided to come out and make my own practice, it's maybe not in the name, but I say two things about Praktikai and how we're different from kind of the big five, right? Well, before that, the first thing is we work with what I would say are underserved markets, right? If you're a small to medium enterprise, a smaller manufacturer, you probably don't have the budget. You might have some of the problems that you need technical support with and folks that know about data and AI, but you probably don't have the budget to work with, a large consulting firm, and they probably don't want to work with you, right? But we are a small, very elite team, and we can provide very hands-on kind of white glove service because we don't have the overheads that these large firms have. But the real differentiator to me is really being human and really letting the value drive the work. So I say that Praktikai, we do two things. We do value-based consulting. So it's not, hey, let's do AI. It's how do we get business value? What are the gaps? And then AI might be the tool, but the tool might also be analytics. And then the second part to me that was definitely missing when I worked in the big five is the values-based part, right? So I'm very big on authenticity, on not being transactional with our clients. We're all just humans trying to make a living, and we want to help other businesses succeed. And work should be the exchange of value. And I view our relationships with clients as more like a partnership or working alongside them, like colleagues, as opposed to sort of a traditional, consultant or contractor client relationship, right? So it should be a win-win when you do a project. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, our big success story right off the bat, we worked with a large North American HVAC company. And initially in that engagement, when the relationship was being formed, we went in and did some basic kind of AI training for front office, like knowledge work, working with Copilot. And then that wasn't really what they needed. Really, when you talk to them, their operations and logistics team really was not sophisticated, as many large enterprises still are. Even in things just like doing business intelligence, visual analytics. And, it was just myself and a colleague of mine working on this project. We worked with them for maybe a month, and I wouldn't call a lot of what we did AI. It was what they needed was analytics and analysis and working with their data. But just by doing some simple work like that and in Power BI, we were able to help them clear over $1 million in backordered product they didn't even know was sitting in their warehouse, and get that out the door. And we also did some analysis that showed that they had their warehousing was way more than they needed, and they could actually save on the order of $2 million a year by reducing the amount of warehouse square footage they had, as well as looking at different providers. So things like that. You do analytics, and sometimes the answer is, oh, we already knew that. But sometimes you find things people have missed. We also do work with a partner of the company around tariffs and trade compliance. And you will find things like we found one example where literally, Michael, there's no way to make this sound more impressive than it is, but literally clerical errors or things that sort of slip through the gaps. And you're talking about in total, cumulatively, these small mistakes that go by unnoticed, you're talking about over $1 million USD that they paid out that they shouldn't have, right? So things like that. It's very, very low hanging fruit, as they say with a cliche.